Welcome back. Doing a little more work in the old grinding room, or what's going to be the grinding room. Today, it's cold and windy outside, so I've been working on the inside. This is a new DoAll grinder that I bought. Had to go to Fort Worth and bring it back. And I got several questions that hopefully somebody can answer for me and shed a little light on it. My number one question is, the guy I brought this from had disassembled it so it'd be safer to move. And these are the leveling feet for it. Well, amongst some other stuff I found these felt mats that have an impression. So these were on the floor, this was on top of them, and I guess it was an effort to eliminate vibration. I don't know if that's a good enough foot pad there. You know, could use them, but years ago I ended up with these bigger anti-vibration pads that are, I forgot who made them, Vermont or Berrymount or something like that. I only had 3 of them. So for years they've been languishing around here. And then about 2 years ago, this one popped up on eBay for an ungodly amount of money. And finally they had lowered it enough to where I could afford it. And I now have 4. The only difference I noticed is this has got like a 5/8 thread through it, but I can drill that out and rethread it to go on up to the 3/4 10 thread. Should I waste these pads on this machine, or is this pad good enough? Because I can certainly put these on this bigger Brown and Sharp cylindrical grinder. It's a much heavier machine. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what you would do. Now, I've been sitting around wondering what size all of the hubs were and the wheels for this spindle, and I was going to take it off and check it out. I don't know if it's a 3-inch or a 5-inch. I've seen references in the books for different things, so that's another thing I was going to do today. Then I need to get some electricity run to it, and I've got all of the parts that I've ordered came in, and we'll start doing that. Now I'm kind of hesitant to show you the electrical part of hooking it up. This stuff will kill you. And there's no way in the world I want to be responsible for hurting anyone. So I may just kind of give you a brief overview and tell you to find an electrician if you don't know what you're doing. This stuff, in my career as a firefighter, paramedic, I have picked up people that are electrocuted. Some of them are dead. In fact, one of our firefighters worked a second job as an AC technician and was up in an attic crawling over some pipes to get to the unit up in the attic. And there was a short, and we buried him. We carried him to the cemetery on the back of our fire truck. You will die if you mess with this stuff and don't do it right. So I'm still on the fence about what I'm going to show you on that part. I have made a decision. Let me show you. This is a wheelie machine here. Let's see if I can show you down here. This is a coolant tank that came with this machine. You gotta change some of the connectors that's been broken. But basically, this has a pressure hose that goes up to the top, and my God, for once in my life, I open up one of these things and it's been cleaned out. Thank you, whoever did that. Much appreciated. The thing about this tank is it can be moved from machine to machine if you wanted to. I'll get you back here and show you. Now, sitting right beside this machine is my Cincinnati tool cutter, so I can sharpen things up when I need it. And then the DoAll sitting there right beside it. Well, this little trough sits over here and hooks up to the drain, plugs in, direct wired into that cabinet over there, and that's where it gets its electricity. And the hose comes up here. I don't know, can you see? It connects up here. So it'd be very easy to move it from machine to machine, and you could go to that machine right there. It's a Brown & Sharp #1 cylindrical grinder that I'm going to rebuild. So this is something I could use on that also. And it's similar to the things that I have here. Sorry for all the running around. That is something I purchased, is a metal vacuum. I bought it from Grizzly because I didn't see any other ones, and frankly, when I see the white, the green, most of the Grizzly stuff's been okay. It's got a drawer. On this side, it's got a really good set of filters. Can y'all see? Okay. 3 different filter packs here. And that exhausts the air out here after sucking in the metal shavings from over here. Now this one's 220 and it's rated for metal dust. So good machine, I think, to have in a grinding room. Anyway, part of what I've been thinking about is how to make this coolant tank portable between all the machines. And it's been hardwired straight into the panel in there. So I went and picked up some heavy duty receptacles that I'm going to mount one of these on each one of the machines and then fit this plug to the end of that cable so that I can just take it to a machine and plug it in. And then that way I can move it between machine. And then only have to mess with one coolant tank. If I could figure a way, I would make this one work on my CNC machine too. But the CNC machine, the way it drains out to a pump in the back and a bottom mounted. And it may not work on that because it's not high enough. Anyway, has anybody ever tried doing that? Certain somebody has. So today I'm going to start getting some electricity over to it. I'm going to change the light bulbs out in this room too. I bought a bunch more of the LED light tubes. These are really good. These are the ones that are cold weather. They're 8-foot fluorescents. But about every 2 years you got to replace them because they start getting dim. So that's on the agenda. This is pretty cool. A lot of these old machines come with their wiring diagrams, and hopefully somebody's kept up with them. And in fact, there's usually over here, there's usually on some of these machines a pocket that they fit into. And that's what I found in this one. So I have a complete electrical diagram of this machine. I'll probably have to go take and make a copy because this is getting kind of thin paper again. Kind of old. But it shows us everything we need to know about the control cabinet on this machine. Now I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but this machine was rated to run on 208 instead of 220 three-phase. All the motors are dual phase. They'll run on either one. But this little box right here is what controls the 10 by 30 magnet. And I was worried about messing it up, and I'll show you why. These are some disconnect switches. We're going to put it here on the wall. These are non-fusible ones. And I run a kind of what I like to call a loop circuit in this room. This is my oldest machine room. This is when I didn't have but 5 or 6 machines stuck in here. And then they were all powered by a 10 horsepower rotary phase converter. And so back then I had some kind of bigger machines sometimes that needed maybe a little more oomph. So if you run 3-phase, if you run a loop circuit and start one motor up on a machine, that boosts the capacity of the circuit and helped stabilize the power for all the other machines. And so I have one loop that goes all the way around here. It's a 50 amp circuit, comes off of the control board on the phase controller. And everywhere I put a machine, like over here, you see, like on the wall over there, right there, I put another box. You said for every machine I drop off the loop, and I put a disconnect box for it. Now over here is the control panel for that magnet. I'm taking the cover off so you guys can get a good look at it. And I decided that I need to be careful with this, and I wanted to clean up some of the contacts and stuff in there. Let me show you what it looks like close up. This is the inside of the control cabinet for this machine. Got all kinds of things. The wiring's kind of sloppy. Not quite up to the standards of most of my other machines of this era. Like I said, one of the things about this machine is it says it's for 208. And this MagChuck controller is what I think is the only thing on here that's got to have 208. All the other motors and everything are dual voltage, 208, 220, 440. So I'm going to run 220 to it and go ahead and put another transformer on it. Now that's a Larson's control transformer, single phase, which this Mag controller is a single phase unit. Like Don says, not everything going into a 3-phase machine has to have 3-phase. All the motors are, but this controller runs off single. So I could use a smaller, cheaper controller to go from 220 down to 208. And so I've got to figure out a place to put that. Side's got its standard fuse, disconnect, contactors, transformer. Those are some extra tubes. Now all you youngsters may not know what a tube is, but there's 4 of them in real life. Back when I was growing up, you go into the little convenience store or the hardware store, or heck, maybe even the ice cream store had tube testers. You could buy tubes for your TVs and radios and everything almost everywhere, and take your old tubes in and test them. That's why I don't want to feed 220 to this unit. God knows what'll happen to those the extra voltage going through that tube. And when it says 208, I'm going to believe them. Anyway, that's the inside. Show you the wheel. Looks small in there on this machine, but that is a 12-inch wheel on it. It can take 14s. Sorry I haven't been putting out very many videos this week. Just hadn't felt like anything I was doing was interesting enough. Went over to Don's and we've been figuring out what we're going to do with that bushing. I've got some more metal coming up, and we're going to put a bronze sleeve in the bronze bushing that was not a single thread like we assumed it was. You can watch that one up here or here somewhere. So I'm waiting on a piece of sleeve material that I can sleeve it with, because unlike the original cast iron nut, I'm pretty confident this one can take the strain of being sleeved. There wasn't a lot of room. We'll leave a very thin, brittle piece on the cast iron one if I did that. But this one's got almost 1/8 of an inch more material up there, and it's bronze, and I can Loctite it in, and I don't think it'll go anywhere. It's always something. I don't know what's wrong with this bronze nut for Don's planer project, but it's snake bit, I tell you. I was getting ready to run off the new piece of bronze, and the dadgum mill won't change gears. Now I got to get up there and fix it. I know what it is. It's done it before, but it's still a pain. Gotta be Don's fault, though. Don's been busy, though. Don has been working on his shed, or his garage expansion. Thank God he listened to me. Instead of making a little tiny building, he's going to enclose most of it. Here's a little clip on it.
It's Don with a little update. Steve wanted me to update y'all. Adding on to the shop. This is giving me a total of 1,900 square feet. I was only going to make a patio cover here, like a corkboard in this front part, but that's why I framed this out when it was going to be a door, a garage door, but I figured, you know, wood's so cheap right now, I just framed the rest of it in. And right now I'm making a little glue lamb, little do-it-yourself glue lamb, and this is going to go above the garage door to give me the right height for the 8-foot by 10-foot garage door. So that's about it. Okay, a little update to the update. I've got that little beam I was working on earlier in the other video up. Good thing I have a power planer. Get the crown off of it so it fits good. It's not what you usually want to fit after the fact, but since I changed the design, I had no choice. But it came out okay.
Now this isn't a commercial for WD stuff, but I kind of like the convenience of their stuff. And they make a whole bunch of different specialist stuff. One of the ones I love the most is this degreaser that they have. Now, Don has found me some that I can buy in the quart variety and put it in my own little pressurized vessel, which I'll probably do because I use a ton of that. My problem is I can't find this stuff. One of the biggest places around that carries this is Lowe's. And that's where I first found this. Some bean counter somewhere has decided that they don't need to carry this and they don't need to carry this. So it's really, really tough for me to find. So somebody at WD, talk to Lowe's. Tell them Steve needs this stuff in their store. In fact, it cost you guys. Today I had to wander around and I finally found some contact cleaner over in the electrical section. CRQ or CRC. It may be the same stuff. It may work just as well. But I was in one place to find this and they didn't have it. If I were king, things would change. Anyway, I sprayed this down in here. I'm gonna let it dry. I don't want to go in here and clean the Jesus out of it. I did the selector back here because it's got a brass coil in it, and hopefully that cleaned it all so the wiper will go around nice. And I just cleaned all the terminals and got rid of the dust. So until I know if it works or there's a problem, I'm going to leave it alone. This is what it is. Well, folks, I'd love to show you how I do the electrical wiring, but I just don't think it's wise to do so. I don't want anybody to get hurt, and I don't want to have any part of you getting hurt. Sort of like a man that invented the MechMate router system, router table, years ago, which I've got one, we still got to put it together. Trying to make room for it. Anyway, he gave you a rough idea of all the parts that were needed, and he says, I don't want anybody hurt, so I'm not going to tell you how to do it. It's up to you. And find somebody to help you, get an electrician, whatever. And so I thought that was the smartest thing I'd seen in a long time, so I'm going to follow his advice and do the same. But it turned cold here. Don turned into a hermit, sitting in there with his heater and his jacket on, and I think he'll be okay. It's coming up on summer. Anyway, update on some of the projects been going on. I got to get this going because I took apart the wiring and everything for my small grinder, and I need to make Don a gib for his planer, or wannabe planer, the shaper. And I've got to still finish his nut. And those two things have been weighing heavy on my mind, trying to get that all done. I've ordered the new material I want to use to core the inside of that nut. Pretty soon it'll be here, and then I'll film how we cut the double lead screw. This needs to be going so I can make that gib. The 10E rails, both of them are still on the planer. Things just kind of skip ahead in the order. Sorry for stringing you out so long on certain things, but hey man, that's the way it is around here. Anyway, thanks for subscribing and watching. It makes the numbers go high, and that's about the only fun thing I get to watch out every morning to see how high the numbers go. So thank you a lot. We'll be back next week with some more stuff. I don't know what it'll be. Now, you might have figured out by now that this is more of a shop channel than a project channel. I've got so many projects going on, and they all kind of life gets in the way, you know. Don needs this, Don needs that, I need this, my wife needs that. Things I like to do get pushed all the way to the back. But someday when I retire, I'll have lots to do. Thanks for watching. Come again.